Hey mathematicians, today our lesson is over rounding whole numbers. Our TEK is 4.2D to round whole numbers to a given place value through the hundred thousands place. Let's go ahead and read our learning goal together. Today I am rounding whole numbers to a given place value. I'll know I have it when I can explain why we round numbers. I can identify the place value I am rounding to. I can round numbers using a number line. I can use next door numbers to round a whole number. Let's go ahead and take a look at our real-world connection and why we use rounding. So rounding is best for when you want to use mental math or do math in your head. When you're working with large numbers, this becomes more difficult. If you can round those numbers, they become simpler to use and manipulate using just your brain. So let's say, for example, you got some money for your birthday this year and want to know if you have enough to buy that new video game. You need to round the cost of the game to include tax in order to know whether or not you have enough money. We round when we want to know an estimate or approximation to say about this many. So for example, the Dallas Cowboys are estimating how many tickets they will sell for their upcoming game against the Arizona Cardinals. If last year they had 91,459 people attend the game, they can round that number to estimate how many people will attend this year's game. All right, let's quickly review our vocabulary before we jump into our mini lesson. So remember, a digit is any numeral from 0 to 9. Place is the position of a digit in a number. This is very important when we are rounding. You need to have a knowledge of your places and their values. A value is how much a digit is worth when it's put in a place. A number line is a line on which numbers are marked at specific intervals. And rounding means to adjust a number upward or downward to a given place value. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our mini lesson. So first I want to review what we already know about rounding. So you may have a lot of experience with this rounding roller coaster where if your number is 4 or less or 3, 2, 1, then you drop down and you stay that same number, right? Or if you have 5 or more, then you go to the next biggest one. You may have also used this hundreds chart to round. Let's use 44 as an example. So if you see 44 is below or not quite past the red line, so you would drop down to 40. But if it was 45, it goes past that red number, so you would round it up to the next 10 to that 50. So these are going to be important, and we're going to use these to relate rounding on a decimal line. So rounding just means that we're making a number simpler but keeping its value close to what it was. The result is less accurate, but it's easier to use. So for example, 73 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70 because look at 73 on my number line. It's closer to 70 than it is to 80. So we would round it down because it's closer even though it's less accurate. So for our anchor chart today, we are going to be printing out and using this. So we're going to use this little rhyme when we round. Say it with me. Find the place, look next door, 5 or greater, add 1 more, 4 or less, let it rest. So anything to the left of the place that we're rounding is going to stay the same. Anything to the right zeros the game, meaning that all those numbers to the right of the place that we're rounding is going to become 0. So when finding your place, it's a good habit to mark the number you are rounding either by underlining it or putting a box around it. If we remember to circle the number next door, we can use it as a clue that that number is going to become a 0 when we're done with it. So for example, let's round 7,534 to the nearest hundreds place. So let's read our rhyme together. Find the place. So we're looking for the hundreds place. I'm going to find the hundreds place. I'm going to put a box around it. Find the place. Look next door. That means we're looking next door to the place that we're rounding. So for rounding to the hundreds place, we're going to look next door to the tens place, and we're going to go ahead and circle that, because when we're done with that number, it's going to become a 0. 5 or greater, now we're only looking at the number we've circled. 5 or greater, add one more. We would add one more to the place we're rounding. 4 or less, so if this number is less than 4, we're going to let the number we're rounding rest. So since this 3 is less than 4, we are going to let the 5 rest. Since the 3 is circled, it's going to become 0 along with all the digits behind it. So remember, the digits to the right become zeros. And the 7, the digits to the left, are going to stay the same, making our rounded number 7,500. So I want to look at and see what this looks like on a number line. So if we round 7,534 to the nearest hundreds place, we can also use this number line to round. So we're going to find our place and the number next door first, then we're going to plot that number on a number line. Let's see what that looks like. So really quickly, when using a number line to round, it's going to be very similar to using a roller coaster or hundreds chart, but allows us to visualize larger numbers. Because now that we're in 4th grade, our numbers are getting really big. So if we plot this number, so we're rounding to the hundreds place, right? So we have that 5 box because that's the place we're rounding. And we have this number next door, the tens place, we have that circled. So we're going to take this number 53 and we're going to put it on a number line. So once we put that 53 on a number line, we see that 53 is closer to 50. So this 53 is actually going to change to a 50. Everything behind the 5 turns to zeros, and our number is 7,500 when we round it. Let's do another example, but let's take this to the hundred thousands place now. So we're going to round 564,873 to the nearest hundreds thousands place. So we're going to find our place, the hundred thousands place. So we're going to put a box around that. Then we're going to go next door to the next place value, to the 10,000s place, and we're going to circle that number. Why are we circling that number? Because it's going to become 0. That's a clue to us to, hey, this number is supposed to be 0 when I'm done with it. So if this number is 5 or greater, we're going to add one more to the 5. If it's 4 or less, we're going to let the 5 rest. So since this 6 is greater than 5, we are going to increase our hundred thousands place, this 5, by 1. And the 6 that is circled will become 0 along with all the digits after it, making our rounded number 600,000. So let's put this on a number line too and see what we get. So if I have my 5, my hundred thousands place marked, and my 10,000s place is the number next door, I'm going to take this 56, these two numbers that I have squared and circled, I'm going to take this number and I'm going to put it on a number line. So if we plot this number 56 on the number line, we'll see that 56 is closer to 60 than it is to 50. So this 56, we're going to swap it and we're going to put a 60 there instead of a 56, and everything behind that 0 becomes what? 0. So our number becomes 600,000. Let's do a quick check for understanding. What does rounding mean? Rounding means to adjust a number up or down to a given place value. You can use rounding to make estimates. What happens when the numbers behind the place, so to the right, is being rounded? They turn to 0. So remember, everything to the right of the place that is being rounded turns to zeros. What happens to the numbers in front or to the left of the place being rounded? They stay the same. Great job today, guys. I will see you in our next video for guided practice.